Alright, this tutorial's on batteries. There are three types of batteries. There's the large, the medium, and the small. Pretty straightforward. This one has a maximum output of 100 units. This has a maximum output of 50 units. The small one has a maximum output of 10 units. They only charge, I believe, at 80% of the input that's getting put into it. So if it's got 100 units coming in, it only takes 80 of those units charging it. So if you daisy chain a battery to a battery to a battery, that battery charges at 80%. The battery next to it charges at 80% of what that's charging at, and the next one charges at 80% of what that one's charging at, and so on. Not very efficient to daisy chain batteries, and what I mean by that is you have, a few batteries like this. You do something like that. This one's coming into a power. This one's getting charged at 80%. That one's getting charged at 80% of that of that battery. That one's getting charged at 80% of that battery. So it takes a ridiculous lot longer amount of time to charge the end battery from when this one's getting charged. So this one's going to be discharging into this one. This one's going to be discharging into that one until this one's full. This one won't charge up until this one's full. That one won't charge up. The only thing that I could say would be good about this is this just increases the amount of time your battery power will last. Doesn't change how much output you've got. And as an example of what I would do to get better output is if you were to stack batteries in this configuration, you can chain each one of these together. And you get a maximum output of 40 because each one of those is 10. Obviously these don't use a unit each, which is kind of cool. But these, as they are hooked up to something, they are actually draining. So it's good to have these being charged as they're attached to these. They don't use a power, but they will discharge your batteries regardless. So this is something that I do in the game when I want to run more than like 3, or I think what I've done before is I've done 9 auto turrets off of 3 large batteries and running my lighting system at the same time. And that's usually in a pretty substantial base where you've got like a compound going or whatever. So this is what I'll do with that. Let's do this quick and sloppy light. So the reason why I do it this way is because I want all these batteries to be charged equally. That way you don't have one getting charged more than the other and one depletes power and you've only got 2 left and you don't have an accurate output. So I end up bringing it all back together eventually, like this. And then I got my 300 output. And this isn't necessarily the best way to do it. This is just the way I do it. It seems to work all right. I think that if I remember right, it feels like one of these will still deplete faster than the other because I don't have a 4th battery hooked up onto a second half of another combiner like these ones are. These will deplete all together at the same pace, where this might deplete just a little bit differently. But this way they're all equally charged and all equally discharged for the most part, at least to a degree that it's not very noticeable. And then I bring my power off of this into like an OR switch, and then I bring the rest of the power off of the incoming power to the OR switch, so that I have battery power or I have windmill power. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to cover with batteries. That's about it. I mean, they can be picked up with a hammer, which is nice, and moved. These things are big, bulky, and not so easy to destroy in the game. You can't pick them up unless you have cupboard access, which is pretty accurate for most things. That concludes my battery tutorial.